Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It really helps YouTube recommend more stories like this one to you. All right, let's jump right in.
The first night I heard the knock from the basement, I tried to pretend it was the pipes. You know how old houses are, things creak, things settle. I even Googled, do pipes knock at night while lying in bed with my phone lighting up the ceiling? But deep down, I knew that wasn't a pipe. It was too intentional. 3 soft knocks, like someone politely asking to be let out. And the worst part? There wasn't supposed to be a basement. I moved into this place 2 weeks ago. It was a last-minute lease, cheap, clean, and closer to campus than any other place I could afford. The landlord was one of those people who gave off something's off energy, but I chalked it up to him being older and awkward. I asked him twice during the walkthrough, "Does this house have a basement?" He said no. Both times that the lease didn't mention one either. No stairs, no door, no access point visible anywhere. So when I heard the knocking, I froze. I was in the living room, lights dimmed, headphones on, half watching some dumb YouTube video. Then it came 3 soft knocks, muffled, directly beneath me. I paused the video. Silence. Then knock, knock. Slow, deliberate. I stood up, heart pounding in my neck. The floor felt thin suddenly, like whatever was under me was closer than it should be. I paced the living room, stomping once or twice to test the boards. Just wood, hollow underneath. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid in bed listening. No more knocks. No footsteps. But I swear the air in the house got colder, denser, like the walls were holding their breath. The next morning, I searched the house top to bottom, pulled furniture away from walls, opened every cabinet, every closet. Nothing. But then I noticed the rug in the hallway. It was cheap and ugly, and I hadn't bothered moving it since I got here. But that morning, I saw the corner was slightly curled, just enough to show a crack in the hardwood. Underneath, a seam. I dragged the whole rug away. My hands were shaking before I even touched the floor. There it was, a small square outline in the wood. A trapdoor, sealed shut with old rusty screws. No handle. No hinges on top. Just a faint, uneven rectangle. I stared at it for a long time, just standing in the hallway with the morning light turning everything this sick yellow. I didn't try to open it. I just stared. Because the worst part was knowing the landlord had lied. There was a basement, and he went out of his way to hide it. Later that day, I called him. No answer. So I texted, "Hey, I found a sealed trapdoor in the hallway floor. You said there wasn't a basement?" No reply. Hours passed. I left him a voicemail. Still nothing. That night I set my phone on the hallway floor and used the voice memo app to record while I slept. I didn't even want to hear anything in real time. I just wanted proof. When I played the recording back the next morning, I felt sick. At 3:11 a.m., it picked up 3 soft knocks. Then a voice low and rasped, barely a whisper, "Let me out." I moved out of the hallway and started sleeping on the couch with the lights on. Every night, same thing. Knocking from below. Sometimes closer, like it was moving. Once, I heard something drag across the floor under me. On the 5th night, I lost it. I grabbed a screwdriver and a hammer and just started unscrewing the floor. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was sleep deprivation. Maybe I just wanted to see it, to stop feeling like I was losing my mind. The screws groaned, resisted, but came loose. One by one, the trapdoor didn't pop open or anything dramatic. It just sat there, stubborn and quiet. I had to pry it up with the claw of the hammer, splintering the wood. A rush of cold air hit my face. The smell was awful. Mold, something wet and heavy. I gagged. I didn't even try to go down. I just aimed my flashlight into the hole. It was a staircase. Wooden, narrow, leading into pitch black. Cobwebs shimmered at the top, catching the light. But what stopped me cold was the red mark smeared on the top step. A handprint. That was the first night. I heard breathing. I was lying on the couch, lights on, phone clutched to my chest. It was past midnight. Quiet. Then I heard it. Slow, shallow inhales. Coming from the hallway. Not footsteps. Not knocks. Just someone standing there. Breathing. I sat up, grabbed the flashlight, and aimed it down the hall. Nothing. Just the open trapdoor. Yawning like a mouth. The breathing stopped. I called the landlord again. This time, he picked up. Before I could say anything, he said, "You opened it, didn't you?" I froze. "What?" "The door," he said. "You opened it. That was your choice." I was shaking. "You told me there wasn't a basement." He sighed, like he was exhausted. "Because you weren't supposed to know. You weren't supposed to look." Then he hung up. I didn't sleep again after that. I tried to cover the hole with the rug again. I even dragged a dresser over it. Didn't matter. The sounds kept coming, scratching, sometimes directly under the couch, and always breathing, that heavy, labored breath like someone dying slowly but not allowed to stop. On the 8th night, something changed. The house was silent. Too silent. Like it was bracing for something. Then, right around 2:30 a.m., I heard the front door unlock, not open. Just the lock. Click. I sat up. I hadn't left it unlocked. I grabbed the flashlight and the small crowbar I'd been keeping next to the couch. Tiptoed toward the door. It was still shut. But the bolt was turned. Something had come in, from outside or from below. I still don't know. Then I heard the softest creak behind me. I turned around. And I swear I saw something retreat down the hallway. Just a flicker of movement. Like someone had been watching me from the corner. I backed up toward the door, ready to bolt. But the air shifted, thickened, and I heard a voice low, not like the one from the recorder. This one was clearer, dry, ragged. It said, "You opened the door. Now open it all the way." Part 2. I don't remember unlocking the front door, but it was open. Wide. Open. Cold night air poured in like water through a cracked dam. I stared out into the dark, the street lamp buzzing uselessly over the sidewalk. There was no one there. No footsteps. No cars. I backed up slowly, not daring to turn my back to the door. But I couldn't stop looking toward the hallway either. That trapdoor was still open. Still breathing. I slammed the front door and locked it again. Then I did what any rational person would do. I packed. Laptop, charger, wallet, bag. I shoved everything into one backpack and didn't even zip it all the way. I didn't care. I was ready to sleep in my car, but as I stepped into the hallway, I stopped. There were footprints on the floor. Wet, dark ones. Bare feet. Leading away from the TRAPDOOR. They ended right where I had been lying on the couch. I bolted, ripped the door open, stumbled into the front yard, and didn't stop moving until I reached my car. I got in, locked the doors, and sat there shaking so hard my teeth knocked together. But I didn't leave. I couldn't explain why. I just sat there, staring at the house, gripping the wheel, and that's when I saw it. The hallway light flipped on by itself. Shadow moved past the window. Someone was inside. I called the landlord again. No answer. I didn't even leave a message this time. I just texted him, "There is someone in the house. You lied. I'm calling the cops." 2 minutes later, he responded, "Do not involve the police. Whatever happens, do not go back in. Then call on leave. That was it. I drove to a 24-hour diner and stayed there until sunrise. Sat in a corner booth, sipping cold coffee while my hands wouldn't stop twitching. Every time someone walked past me or a spoon clattered to the floor, I jumped. At 6:02 a.m. I drove back to the house. Don't ask me why. Curiosity, fear, or maybe I just needed to prove to myself that it had all been a nightmare. A breakdown. Something I could explain away when the sun came up. But when I walked through the front door, nothing felt better. If anything, it was worse in the daylight. Because now I could see what the darkness had been hiding. There were scratch marks on the hallway walls. Not just one or two long frantic gouges that trailed from the trapdoor up to the living room wall. Like someone had been dragged. The dresser I had pushed over the trapdoor, it was toppled over and the rug was gone, completely, as if someone had taken it. But the worst part? The trapdoor was closed again, screwed shut, exactly like it had been when I first found it. And the screws? They were different, newer, shinier, tighter. Someone had sealed it back up. From inside, I left that day. Officially, I didn't even try to break the lease. I didn't care about the deposit. I didn't contact the landlord again, and he never reached out either. I crashed with a friend for a few days and eventually found a room to rent across town. Much smaller, much louder. No hidden doors. I told myself it was over. I even tried to convince myself it hadn't really happened. That I'd imagined the voice, the footprints, the breathing. I even deleted the voice memo. That part one regret, because 2 weeks later, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It was black and white, grainy, but I recognized what it showed immediately. That hallway. My hallway. The trapdoor, wide open. The steps leading down, and something standing at the bottom of the stairs. Looking up. It looked human, mostly. But the proportions were wrong. Long arms. Thin body. Head tilted sideways like it didn't understand what it was seeing. No face. After that, I couldn't sleep. I kept feeling like I was being watched, even in my new place. I started waking up at 3:11 a.m. every night on the dot, the exact time I'd heard the knock that first night. One night, I woke up with dirt under my fingernails. The second I stepped inside the cabin, I knew something was wrong. Not scary movie wrong, just off. Like the air was too still. The kind of still that made your skin itch. It was dead quiet. No birds, no bugs, no wind through the trees. And it smelled weird. Like cedar, mildew, and something faintly metallic. But I told myself to get over it. It was a $40 a night rental off Craigslist. I wasn't expecting 5 stars. The ad said it was perfect for solo reflection, writing, or decompression. It was remote. No cell signal. One dusty road in, one out. Exactly what I thought I needed. After the year I'd had, losing my job, my girlfriend cheating, panic attacks almost weekly, I just wanted to disappear for a while. No texts, no expectations. Just me and some peace. I dropped my backpack by the old fireplace, grabbed the keys off the hook, and locked the front door behind me. That should have made me feel safer. But for some reason, I felt worse. The cabin had this weird energy, like it had been empty for too long. You know that smell places get when no one's lived in them for a while? Dusty, but layered with something else. Like old sweat trapped in wood. I wandered the rooms with my flashlight, since the power hadn't kicked on yet. The light switch didn't do anything. Neither did the thermostat. No Wi-Fi, no signal, no power. I figured maybe the generator hadn't been turned on yet. So I found the breaker box outside and flipped the main switch. Nothing, dead. Inside. I sat down at the little kitchen table and checked the ad again on my phone. Of course, no signal, but I remembered what the owner had said in the listing. Power's a little finicky. Give it time. It'll kick in. So I waited. I lit a candle I found in a drawer and cracked a window because the air felt thick. And that's when I noticed it. The window screen had claw marks. 3 of them. Thin, jagged like from nails. Not animal scratches. I've seen raccoon damage. This was different. I shut the window again. Locked it. That's when I realized all the windows had locks. On the inside, including the one in the bathroom. Even the one in the attic crawl space. I told myself that was normal. Old cabins needed extra security, right? By 10 p.m., I had a fire going. Still no power. I made instant noodles with bottled water and a camp stove I brought with me. It was kind of nice. Actually, simple. Then I explored the bookshelf. Most of the titles were what you'd expect. Field guides, camping manuals. Some bad horror novels from the 80s. But one binder caught my eye, tucked between a Bible and an old photo album. It was labeled in thick black marker, log do not remove, naturally. I opened it. Inside were handwritten entries. Dates, times, short descriptions. I figured it was from past renters, some kind of guest book. But it didn't read like one. Not at all. Here's the first entry, May 4th, 2013. 1:14 a.m. heard tapping again. Same spot, back window, checked, nothing there. Left candle burning, another, June 22nd, 2015. 3:03 a.m. breathing, in the attic. Loud this time. Not wind. Stayed awake until sunrise. Another one. August 10th, 2017, 12:01. Aim, do not look into the woods. It sees you if you look. My skin went cold. I flipped to the last page. The handwriting was more frantic, slanted. The ink smudged like the person had written it fast, or with shaking hands. October 14th, 2020, 2:55 a.m. It was inside. I locked the door. It came anyway. I think it's in the walls. If you hear it call your name, do not answer. The rest of the page was scratched out so hard the paper was torn. Shut the binder and put it back. My pulse was thudding in my ears. Then I heard something. Knock, just once. From the back wall of the cabin, I froze. Didn't even breathe. Another knock. Slower this time. Knock, knock. It wasn't the door. It wasn't a window. It was the wall itself. I stood up, heart racing. Held the flashlight like a weapon. The sound had come from the back bedroom. The one I hadn't looked in yet. I stepped toward it. Every board creaking under my feet, like it was screaming at me to turn around. The bedroom was pitch black. I swung the flashlight around, nothing but a dusty bed. Some broken blinds and a coat rack in the corner. Then the closet door creaked open, not fast. Not like a movie jump scare. Just slowly. Like something inside had been waiting. I aimed the light directly at it. Empty. I forced a nervous laugh. It's an old cabin, I said out loud, trying to hear my own voice. But when I turned back toward the hallway, there was something wet on the floor. A set of bare footprints. Not mine, leading from the wall. Into the room. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the main room with my flashlight, fire dying low. Heart pounding any time a board shifted or the wind brushed a branch against the siding. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps upstairs. 2. Then 3. Then silence. I wanted to believe it was the house settling. But the attic was supposed to be sealed, and I hadn't gone up there. Waited until morning to check it out. The attic hatch was in the hallway ceiling. Just a pull string and a wooden ladder that creaked like hell. I climbed it slow, rung by rung, expecting something, anything to grab me. When I got to the top, I aimed the flashlight around. It was empty. Mostly. In the far corner, there was a pile of rags. Or maybe blankets. I couldn't tell. It was so moldy and matted down, it looked like a rat's nest. And scattered around it were Polaroids. Old ones. Some curled from moisture. All of them were of people standing in the woods. Alone. Looking back over their shoulder. And behind every one of them, just barely in frame, something was watching. Long arms. Black eyes. Pale skin. A shape that looked almost human, but not quite. I grabbed one of the photos and ran downstairs. I tossed the picture into the fire. The edges curled. The figure in the background twisted and darkened until the whole thing was gone. But I could still feel it. Not the photo. The thing from it, not like it knew what I'd done, like it had noticed me now. And that was the first time I saw it. Outside the cabin. Maybe 30 feet back, just at the edge of the trees. I saw a tall figure, thin, perfectly still. Watching. Part 2. It didn't move. Just stood there, long, thin, almost skeletal, half hidden behind a tree, like it didn't care if I saw it anymore. The shape wasn't right. Too tall, shoulders slouched forward like it was used to crawling. Its arms hung low, maybe to its knees. But the worst part was its head. It tilted. Slowly. Not like a person. More like a dog trying to mimic a human movement. Curious, wrong. I didn't breathe. Didn't blink. I just stood at the window, frozen, the fire casting flickering shadows behind me. And then, I swear this is true, it raised its hand, not to wave. To point, directly at me. I shut the blinds so fast they snapped. Backed away like that would help. I didn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I just paced the cabin like a trapped animal, flinching at every creak, every groan of the old wood. I told myself, leave at first light. Just survive one more night. I stuffed my backpack with everything I could and laid my car keys on the table. Ready. But around 11 p.m. The knocking started again, this time from every wall, slow at first, soft taps, like something was circling the cabin. Then it grew louder. More frantic, knock, 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 silence. Then from the opposite wall, knock, knock. My flashlight died. The backup batteries were gone. I lit a candle, but it barely helped. Shadows stretched along the walls like they were watching me breathe. Then, I heard the voice, faint, female, from behind the fireplace. It whispered, help me. I froze. It came again, louder. Please, help me. It didn't sound like a ghost or a monster. It sounded like someone alive, trapped. I pressed my ear to the wall. There was breathing, soft, panicked. Then, I saw something shift behind the bricks, like a shadow moving behind drywall. A hand pressed forward, just enough to make the panel bulge. My heart was screaming at me to run, but my body moved on its own. I reached for the fire poker, not to attack. To pry open the wall. I jammed the poker into the corner seam, and the panel groaned. Dust filled the air. The brick wasn't real, it was fake, hollow. I tore it open piece by piece, hands trembling, and behind the fake fireplace was a crawl space, dark, cramped, wood beams and dirt. A narrow tunnel about 3 feet high, and I saw her, a woman, curled up in the dirt, eyes wide and terrified. She looked at me like I was the monster, pale, filthy, skin like wax. She whispered, it watches from the woods. Don't look at it. Don't let it know your name. I was about to ask who she was, but then she lunged forward and grabbed my wrist. It followed me here. It likes the cabin. It keeps people. Then she froze. Her head jerked like she'd heard something I couldn't. No, she whispered, backing into the darkness. You brought it closer. You let it in. I reached forward, but she was gone. The crawl space went dead silent. Then, behind me, I heard the floorboards creak. Slow footsteps. Coming from the bedroom. I turned. Nobody there, but the door to the crawl space began to swing shut. I lunged out and slammed it open, heart racing, but nothing was there. And then, the voice whispered again, from behind me, don't run. It likes the chase. That was it. I grabbed my backpack keys, flashlight, didn't even lock the door, and ran to the car. The woods were dead silent. No wind, no bugs. Just cold air pressing against my skin like I was underwater. I jumped in, started the engine, headlights lit up the trees, and standing right in the middle of the road was the thing. Now I could see it fully. It looked like someone wearing the idea of human skin. Wrong posture. Elbows bending the wrong way. Black, hollow eyes too far apart, and it was smiling. The first time I saw the guy in the shed, I thought it was just a weird neighbor thing. You know, quirky suburban privacy. I had just moved into the rental a few days earlier. Small house, good price, decent yard, cul-de-sac vibes. The kind of place people jog through with strollers and smile too hard. The landlord, a woman named Cheryl, seemed sweet enough that she promised it was a safe neighborhood. Said it twice. Actually, once on the phone, then again in person while handing me the keys. Safe. Quiet, peaceful, she said, like she was reading it off a script. That first week, everything was quiet, until I noticed the shed it sat 2 yards down, tucked behind a waist-high fence that looked like it hadn't been painted since 2003 from my kitchen window. I had a perfect view of it at night. I'd sometimes catch a glimpse of someone going inside, not walking, dragging something heavy. Something that didn't have wheels. I only saw bits of it, a shape, movement, sometimes a hunched figure in work gloves. I never saw a face. Never saw lights, just darkness. And the shape of a man hauling something toward the shed. At first, I tried to ignore it. People do weird things. Maybe he was a hunter. Maybe he fixed motorcycles or worked on engines or collected weird art. I didn't care, but then I started noticing the smell, only at night. When the wind shifted. Something sharp, chemical, decay under bleach. Like when you try to cover up rot with lemon cleaner. It came from the same direction as the shed. And then the cat disappeared. I hadn't named her yet. She was just this skinny orange stray that slept on my porch and sometimes followed me inside for food. She didn't let me pet her, but she was always there. Until one night. She wasn't. I called for her. Left out food. Nothing. Next morning, I found her collar in the gutter. Torn. It was 2 doors down. Toward the shed. I tried to shrug it off. It's a cat. Cats roam. They get lost. But I couldn't shake the feeling, like something wasn't random about it. That same day, I saw the guy. Broad shoulders, jeans, work boots. Standing in his yard, facing my house. Not moving. Not gardening. Just standing there. When I looked directly at him, he didn't wave. Didn't smile. Just turned and walked away. But that night, the dragging sound came back, louder, closer. And I swear, this time it didn't stop at the shed, around 2 a.m. I was half asleep on the couch, a true crime show playing in the background, when I heard the side gate creak open. Slow, long, metal on metal. My windows were closed. Lights off. But I still felt it, like a shift in air pressure. Like something entered. I sat up, heart pounding. Muted the TV. Thud. Something hit the side of the house. Not hard, but heavy. Then. Footsteps, grass crunching. A slow shuffle past the kitchen window. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. Then it stopped right behind the wall. On the other side of where I was sitting. The silence lasted maybe 10 seconds. I heard it. Tap. Tap, tap. 3 fingers on the window glass. I turned my head. Just barely trying to see from the couch cushion. There was someone standing there. I could only see the shape. Tall, still, watching. Then he moved. Not away. Not back. He walked toward the front door. I jumped up. Locked the deadbolt. Flipped off the lights. Grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course. I didn't even own a landline. I backed into the hallway. Holding a kitchen knife I'd never actually used before. Then I heard it again. Tap. Tap, tap. This time. On the living room window. Then the bathroom. Then the back door. Like he was circling the house. Mapping it. Testing it. Eventually, it stopped. I waited. Didn't sleep. Didn't move. At sunrise, I opened the curtains. Nothing. But the footprints were still there, in the dew on the grass. A full circle around the house. No shoes. Just bare feet. The landlord didn't answer when I called. So I texted her, "Hey, something weird happened last night. Someone was in the yard. I think they were trying to get in." A few hours later, she replied, "That's unusual. This is a very safe neighborhood. No concern." No follow-up. Just that same damn line again. The next night, I nailed the side gate shut. Moved a chair in front of the front door. Slept with the knife. At 3:22 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my name. Someone whispered it through the mail slot. Not yelled. Not playful. Just spoken, low and familiar, like they'd known me forever. "Are you awake?" My heart stopped. I didn't move. Then, in a calm, almost casual voice, "You don't have to lock the door. I already know how to get in." I didn't sleep. Again. And in the morning, the nails I put in the side gate? Gone, neatly removed. Laid out on the porch in a perfect line. That same day, I saw Cheryl again, the landlord. She pulled up in her beige SUV, waved at me like we were best friends. Said she was checking on the property next door. I asked her if she knew anything about the guy behind the fence, the one with the shed. Her smile tightened. "Frank keeps to himself," she said. "Good guy, quiet." Then she added, again, "It's a safe neighborhood." Almost like she was warning me. Part 2 that night, I didn't wait for the knocking. I left every light on in the house. Slept with my phone on my chest. Knife under the pillow. Gate barricaded. Curtains drawn. Still couldn't sleep, because what scared me now wasn't just the guy in the yard. It was Cheryl. The way she smiled like she knew something. The way she said, "It's a safe neighborhood," like it was a script, not a sentence. And the way she brushed off everything I told her. Like it was normal. Like it had happened before. At around 1:40 a.m. I heard movement. Not outside. In the attic, scraping, like furniture being dragged. Then quiet footsteps. Slow, careful, pacing back and forth over my bedroom. I didn't even have an attic door. There was a hatch in the hallway ceiling, but I'd never been up there. No ladder. No reason to go. Until now. I crept into the hallway and just stood under the hatch, staring up at it. It was slightly open. Just an inch. And from the crack, I swear I could hear breathing. Soft, shallow, like someone trying not to be heard. I called the police. First time I'd done it. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. No ring. Just static. My phone was still at full bars. It even said connected. But all I got was that noise, like it was being blocked, like something was jamming it. Or replacing it. I slept in my car that night. Drove 2 blocks down, parked under a street lamp, knife in my lap. At around 4 a.m., I saw movement in the rearview mirror, not someone walking, crawling across my lawn. From the shed, bare hands, elbows dragging. It looked like whoever it was had no use of their legs, or just wasn't used to moving like a person anymore. Then, they stood. And just watched my empty house for a long time, until they turned and looked directly at me. I drove to a motel. Paid cash. Didn't sleep again. Called Cheryl the next morning and told her I was breaking the lease. "I'm not safe here," I told her. "There's someone watching me, trying to get in. I've called the cops." "You don't understand." She cut me off, voice calm. "Too calm. I understand perfectly," she said. "But the neighborhood is safe. We've all made sure of that." Click. I went to the police station in person. Waited half an hour before someone finally came to the window. Told them everything. The man. The dragging, the voices, the shed. The officer just nodded like he'd heard it all before. Didn't write anything down. Then he said, "What address?" I told him. He paused. Then, "I'll never forget this," he said. "You should leave, quietly, and don't tell your neighbors where you're going." Then he slid the window shut. I went back once, just to grab the rest of my stuff. Middle of the day. Sun shining. Street full of minivans and trash cans and sprinklers. The fake safety of suburbia in full effect. But something was wrong. My front door was unlocked. And the floor was clean, completely spotless. No boxes, no dishes in the sink. Even the carpet looked vacuumed. Like I'd never lived there at all. Like the house had reset. Then I looked out the back window. The shed door was open, just wide enough to see inside. I don't know what I thought I'd find. Maybe proof. Maybe nothing. But I walked into the yard, slowly, trying not to breathe too loud. The air smelled like bleach and wet earth. Inside the shed, there were hooks on the wall, a bucket of rope, heavy gloves, a mattress on the floor, stained, and a small mirror hanging crooked over a workbench. But the part I still can't forget? The photo. Taped to the mirror, a picture of me from behind, standing in my kitchen. Taken through the window. I left everything behind. The house, my stuff, the lease. I moved across the state, changed my number, stopped using my real name. I tried to forget, but last week, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a typed note, one sentence. It's a safe neighborhood. And a photo of my new apartment, taken at night. From across the street. I think this neighborhood is safe too. Too safe, too quiet. The same way the last one was. Everyone smiles. Everyone waves. But no one ever asks why I moved. No one ever asks where I came from. And sometimes, when I sit on my couch late at night, I can hear it. The slow drag of footsteps. Coming from the unit upstairs. Even though that apartment's been empty since I moved in. The first rule was, don't open the master bedroom door. That was literally in the job description. I took the gig because it was easy money. Some woman posted in a private Facebook group for college students looking for work. Said she needed a house sitter for 5 days while she went off-grid. Offered $200 a day, cash. I messaged her. We talked. She seemed nice, real. Said she was a therapist who lived alone and needed to disconnect. She'd be staying at a silent retreat with no phone access. No emergencies, no texts, no drama. Honestly, it sounded like a dream. I was broke. My classes were killing me. The house was nice, big, clean, a little too clean, but whatever. All I had to do was water the plants, bring in the mail, and feed her cats. And follow one rule. Do not open the door to the master bedroom. At any time. Under any circumstance. I got there Monday night. The place was immaculate. White carpets. Fridge full of labeled containers. Candles everywhere. Lavender and eucalyptus, like a spa. I never met her in person. She left the keys under a fake rock and a printed welcome packet on the counter. It had Wi-Fi info, feeding times, thermostat instructions. And then, again, that line, do not enter the master bedroom. It was underlined twice. In bold. At first, I didn't think much of it. Rich people are weird. Maybe she had expensive stuff in there. Or a sex dungeon. Or maybe she was just one of those people who needed control. Fine by me. I unpacked, fed the cats. Crashed on the couch with Netflix. The first night was quiet. Until around 3 a.m. When I heard footsteps upstairs. I was sleeping on the sectional in the living room. Lights off, house dead silent, until I heard it. 2 distinct creaks from the upstairs hallway. Like someone shifting their weight. I sat up fast, heart pounding. No pets upstairs. No TV, just me. I listened. Nothing. Then another soft creak. And something that sounded like a slow drag. Like someone brushing their hand along the wall as they walked. I grabbed the fireplace poker and crept halfway up the stairs. Nothing. Dark hallway. All doors open, except one. The master bedroom, shut tight. I told myself it was the house settling. It was old, big. Maybe the AC kicked on and shifted the vents. I went back down, turned the TV on low for background noise, and tried to sleep, but when I woke up, something had changed. The welcome packet was gone. I'd left it on the coffee table. It wasn't there. Not on the kitchen counter. Not in the trash. I checked everywhere. Then I noticed the cats acting weird. Both of them, usually friendly, were now crouched near the bottom of the stairs. Ears flat, staring up at the second floor like they were waiting for something to come down. That afternoon, I got an email from her, which was weird, because she'd said she wouldn't have internet access. It was short. Hi. Just checking in. Everything okay? No signature. No punctuation. Not her usual tone. I replied yes, everything was fine, but something felt off. No response. Night 2 was worse. It started with the back door unlocking. I heard it click. That soft mechanical clack, unmistakable. I was in the kitchen when it happened. I turned around slowly. The knob didn't move, but I knew it had unlocked. I checked. Sure enough, the deadbolt had slid open. I locked it again. Checked the windows. All shut. Went upstairs. Still just me. Master bedroom door still closed. I was halfway back down the stairs when I heard music. Soft piano playing from somewhere in the house. It was faint, like it was bleeding through the walls. I followed it. Down the hall, around the corner. To the master bedroom. The music was coming from inside. I pressed my ear to the door. It was an old lullaby. One I vaguely recognized. Something I hadn't heard since childhood. Off-key and slow, like it was playing from a warped cassette. Then it stopped, right as I touched the doorknob. I didn't open it. I went back downstairs. Heart in my throat, locked the front door, turned every light on in the house, and stayed up until sunrise. I didn't sleep. I couldn't, because the lullaby started again around 4 a.m., this time from the ceiling above the living room. Next morning, I called the number she'd left. No answer. I texted. Emailed again. Nothing. Then I heard the mail slot click. A single white envelope landed on the floor. No postage. No return address. Inside was one sentence written in shaky, smudged pen. She's not who she says she is. I wanted to leave. I almost did, but something stopped me. Not curiosity, fear. Paranoia. The kind that tells you, if you leave now, something will follow you. So I stayed. I told myself I'd just finish the week. 3 more days. I could do 3 days. That night, the cats wouldn't come out from under the bed, and the photos in the hallway had changed. I swear to God, they weren't the same ones I saw the first day. They'd been warm, happy family photos. A woman smiling in a garden. A man holding a dog. Some kids in Halloween costumes. Now, they were empty. Same frames. Same layouts. But the people were gone. Just backgrounds. A bench. A living room. A beach. No faces. No bodies. Like they'd been erased. I stood there for a long time, just staring at the photos. Heart pounding. And then I heard it again. The music box. Playing from behind the master bedroom door. And this time, someone started humming along. Part 2. I didn't sleep that night either. I sat on the floor of the guest bedroom, knife in hand, door locked, every light in the house on, watching the hallway like something was going to crawl down it. Because I was sure something was going to crawl down it. Around 3:08 a.m., the humming stopped. The house fell completely silent. So quiet I could hear the hum of the refrigerator downstairs and the static buzz of electricity in the walls. Then, the cat started growling, not hissing, growling. From under the bed. Both of them, low and guttural, staring toward the bedroom door. And then, the doorknob started turning. I froze, just stared at it as it twitched once. Twice, click, the lock held. But the sound, that soft, careful pressure, felt personal. Like someone wanted me to know they were trying. That they could get in. I didn't open the door. I just sat on the floor, shaking until the sun rose. And when I finally cracked the door open, the hallway was empty. Except for the photograph on the floor. A Polaroid of me, taken from the ceiling corner of the bedroom. While I was asleep on the floor, that broke something in me. I packed fast everything I could shove into a bag. I didn't care about the agreement. I didn't care about the money. I was done. I ran downstairs, ready to bolt for my car, but the front door was wide open, and there, on the floor, were my keys, laid out carefully on the doormat. Like an offering, like an invitation, I grabbed them and booked it. Didn't look back. Didn't lock the door. Drove for 10 straight minutes before I even noticed the shaking in my hands. I pulled over at a gas station and just sat there, trying to breathe. I knew something was wrong. Way beyond normal. But part of me still wanted answers. So I Googled her, the woman. The owner, I found her LinkedIn. Her website. She was a licensed therapist. Except, she died 2 years ago. The obituary was easy to find out: her name, her face. Died in her home under unexplained circumstances. No foul play ruled. Body found in the master bedroom. Cat survived. Property went to probate. So, who had I been talking to? Who emailed me? Who wrote the welcome packet? I dug deeper. Found an old Reddit thread in a local true crime forum. The title made my stomach drop. Weird story about a therapist's house. Anyone know what happened in _? The top comment: I used to live across the street. The house was empty for a while. Then someone new moved in. Said they were the niece. But no one ever saw her. Just lights flickering at night. Then a student from the local college stayed there to house sit. And disappeared. I stopped reading. I sat there, frozen in the gas station parking lot, stomach flipping. Mouth dry, because it wasn't just me. There had been others. And someone, or something, was still bringing people there, using her name, her email, her face. I wanted to believe it was over, but later that day, I got a text: blocked number. You didn't feed the cats. I threw the phone across the room. That night, I stayed with a friend. I didn't tell her everything. Just said I was freaked out from a bad gig. She let me crash on her couch, but around 2:40 a.m., her dog started barking at the window. Wouldn't stop. Just stood there, hackles up, growling low. I went to check. Heart hammering. There was a candle burning on the front porch. Lavender and eucalyptus, the same kind that had been in every room of the house. The next morning, I went back. I don't know why. Closure maybe. Or maybe it was guilt. Maybe something was still pulling me there. I just needed to see the place again. In the daylight, when I got there, the front door was open. Again. And inside, it was like I'd never left. No signs of a struggle. No mess. My bag was back on the couch. The cats were asleep on the WINDOWSILL. And on the coffee table was the welcome packet. Perfect, crisp, like it had never gone missing. Except now it had 2 rules. The second one read: if you leave, don't tell anyone about this house. I ran, for real this time, blocked the email, changed my number, deleted every message, every photo, every map pin. I moved 3 cities away. Different school, different apartment. I told no one. And for a while, it worked. Until last week. When a new listing showed up in a student Facebook group I still hadn't left, looking for a reliable house sitter. Nice place, quiet area, cats, $200 day. No emergencies. Same wording, same vibe, only now the rule had changed. It read: do not open the basement door. The first time the lease renewed itself, I thought it was a glitch. A paperwork screw-up, A missed email. I had signed a 6-month lease. 6 months. That was the deal. I was just crashing in the city while I finished up an internship. Then I was moving on. New job, new state, new life. I turned in my move-out notice a full month early. Even had it stamped at the front office. They gave me a nod and a thanks for staying with us. And that was it. Or so I thought. The day before I was supposed to leave, I came home from packing up my storage unit and saw a letter taped to my door. Plain white paper. No envelope. Just folded in half, my name scrawled on the front. Inside, your lease has been renewed. Welcome to another term. Management no logo. No phone number. No return address. I thought it was a prank, but when I went to the office the next morning, it was empty, blinds drawn. Closed until further notice, sign on the door. No one answered the phone. And when I checked my tenant portal online, it said I was under contract. 6 more months, auto-renewed, signed, dated. With my name. I didn't sign anything. I knew I didn't. I called, emailed, nothing. Tried reporting it to the leasing company. But they claimed they didn't have a record of the building anymore, that it had been sold months ago. To who? They wouldn't say. That night I started hearing noises in the walls. At first, it was just little things, thumps, pipes groaning, creaks above the ceiling. But then it got more specific. Voices. Low and muffled. Like people whispering behind drywall. I pressed my ear to the kitchen wall and heard a woman say, "He's not supposed to leave." I pulled away so fast I nearly fell. Checked all the units next door. Both were empty, vacant, no furniture. One had the windows boarded up. There shouldn't have been anyone on the other side of that wall. I packed that night. Screw the lease. Let them come after me. But when I woke up the next morning, the boxes were gone. I mean gone. Like they'd never existed. The closet was full again. My fridge was stocked. My shoes lined up neatly by the door. Even the dirty dishes I'd left in the sink were clean, like the apartment had reset. And on the counter, a fresh copy of the lease. Signed. Again. In handwriting that looked exactly like mine, but wasn't. I tried to tear it up, burn it, flush it, but the next morning it was back on the counter. Pristine. That was day 1. It's been 26 days now. Every night around 3:33 a.m. I hear footsteps in the hallway outside my door. Not fast. Not heavy. Just soft. Measured. Pacing back and forth. Sometimes for an hour. Sometimes until the sun comes up. Once, I peeked through the peephole. There was someone standing perfectly still right outside. Not moving. Not knocking. Just listening. I blinked, and they were gone. Then I started finding notes. In the bathroom mirror. Don't try to leave. Under the rug, you signed. You stay. On the inside of the fridge door. Eat, obey, sleep. I haven't told anyone, because I don't think they'd understand. This apartment. It knows me now. It doesn't want me to go. I tried sleeping at a friend's place a few nights ago. Made it through most of the night. But when I came home the next morning to grab a few things, my friend's number was gone from my phone. Every text thread deleted. Like I'd never contacted them. And in my closet, my packed bags were already unpacked. Everything back where it belonged. Except one thing was different. There was a jacket I didn't own hanging on the hook. Black, worn, old school ID tag clipped to the zipper. The name on it wasn't mine. It was someone else's, and their lease was taped inside the pocket. I don't think I'm the first person this happened to. Think the apartment's been collecting people. Or what's left of them. Last night I opened the hallway utility door, just trying to figure out where the vent sounds were coming from. Inside wasn't a closet. It was a staircase. Leading down. Part 2. The stairs behind that utility door weren't supposed to exist. I stood there holding my phone flashlight over the opening. staring down into darkness that felt thicker than air should ever be. The stairs weren't wood. They weren't concrete. They were this. Matte black material, smooth like plastic, absorbing the light instead of reflecting it. Not new. Not old. Just wrong and cold. The air rushing upward chilled my face like the inside of a freezer. I should have shut the door. I should have walked away. But curiosity isn't curiosity when you're scared out of your mind. It's instinct. A need. A pressure in your chest that says, find it. Find the thing that's watching you. So I went down. One step. Two. My footsteps didn't echo. They were swallowed immediately. Halfway down, my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. You're late. Come home. I froze. Looked back up the stairs. The utility door was slowly swinging shut. Not slamming. Not creaking. Just closing like someone was gently pushing it. I sprinted up the stairs and shoved it open before it latched. It was heavy, way heavier than a metal door should have been. Like pushing against someone's whole body weight. When I finally forced my way out and slammed it shut, the building fell silent again. Too silent. That's how I knew something was waiting for me to go back down. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, knife in hand, staring at the utility door. It felt like if I blinked for too long, it would open and something would crawl out. Around 3:33 a.m., the footsteps in the hallway started again, back and forth, steady, patient. I went to the PEPHOLE. Someone was standing with their ear pressed against my door, not moving, not breathing in a normal way, more like shallow, shaky inhales like they were excited. I backed away, hand shaking on the knife. Then from the other side of the door, they whispered, "We already renewed you. Don't make this harder." Then silence. In the morning, I decided to leave, not pack, not organize, just leave. I grabbed my wallet, keys, jacket, and bolted. When I opened the front door, there was another envelope taped to it. Inside, another lease. This one wasn't signed by me. It was signed by the person who'd lived here before me. The name on the old jacket in my closet. The date was 3 years ago. The handwriting looked shaky, sloppy, like they'd been forced to sign it. And at the bottom, under the signature line, tiny faded print read, "Non-transferable until vacancy is confirmed." Vacancy. As in someone leaving. As in someone dying. That's why the apartment wouldn't let me go. Because the last tenant never left. I drove straight to the leasing company's corporate office. Except the address didn't exist. I drove in circles around a bunch of empty warehouses and fenced-off lots. Nothing. No building. No sign of anything ever being there. When I called again, the number was out of service. The apartment was a dead end. A trap. A system, not a property. I tried staying with a friend again. But that night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message. No number. Just : your term isn't over. Come back. And then my friend's dog, usually a sweetheart, started clawing at the bedroom door. Whining and shaking like something was outside. I didn't sleep when morning came. My friend asked me why I'd gotten up in the middle of the night to stand in her hallway. I told her I hadn't. She didn't believe me. I moved out the next morning when I got back to the apartment to grab the last of my things. A woman was walking out of the building. Young, nervous, holding a folder. On the front of the folder, lease agreement. I stopped her. "Are you moving in?" I asked. She nodded. "Just signed. They gave me a really good deal." I felt sick. "Listen," I said, grabbing her arm. "You need to read everything carefully. Don't sign anything without." "I already did," she said. "They said the last tenant left early and I could take over immediately." Then she added, "The office told me they were glad someone finally filled your spot." My spot. Not my unit. My spot. Like it had been waiting, like the cycle had just moved on. I watched her walk into the building, folder tucked under her arm. I should have stopped her, but the truth was worse. I realized I still had my apartment key in my pocket, and I hadn't dropped it, hadn't thrown it out, hadn't really left at all. Some part of me was still anchored there. Still claimed that maybe the lease doesn't trap you physically. Maybe it traps you by making you believe you can't leave, that you're signed in. Locked in, owned. Tonight, I'm 3 towns over. New motel. New number. New name on the reservation. But at 3:33 a.m., I woke up to a knock on the door, 3 soft taps, then a paper slid underneath. Lease. My name on it. Signed. Fresh ink. And handwritten at the bottom. Vacancy confirmed. Welcome ho. The apartment was supposed to be empty. That's what the listing said. That's what the landlord said. Unfurnished 1 bedroom. Just cleaned. Move-in ready. It looked perfect in the photos. Clean, white walls. Big windows. A decent view of the street. And cheap. Way too cheap. But I took it. Because after everything that had happened, the breakup, the job loss, the awful 6 months with my parents, I just needed a space that was mine. A place where I could breathe again, heal, be alone. But the first thing I noticed when I walked in, it wasn't empty. There was furniture. A couch. A small dining table with 1 chair. A standing lamp in the corner with a burned-out bulb. Even the bed frame had already been assembled. No mattress, just a wooden frame. Like someone had started moving in but never finished. I texted the landlord. Hey, thought the place was unfurnished? There's stuff here. His reply came 3 hours later. Oh, that must have been from the last tenant. I thought they took it. You can keep it or toss it. Something about that felt weird. Like he hadn't even checked. Still, I was too tired to argue. I dropped my backpack on the floor, sat on the old couch, and told myself it was fine. People leave stuff behind all the time. Craigslist is full of it. But as I sat there, something gnawed at me. This couch wasn't dusty. It was warm. Like someone had just been sitting there. I turned the lamp on and the light flickered, then dimmed, low, yellow, like a basement bulb. That's when I noticed the picture frame. It was on the wall above the couch. I hadn't even seen it at first. It blended in with the off-white paint. It was a photo of the room itself, taken from the corner. Same furniture, same layout. But in the picture, there was someone sitting on the couch, just barely visible. Face turned away, blurry, like they moved just as the shutter clicked. I took the frame down. There was no name on the back. No date, just a small note scratched into the wood in pencil. Still here. I didn't sleep the first night. The building was too quiet. Too still. No traffic. No footsteps above me. No hum from the fridge. I kept the lights on. At some point, I must have dozed off, because I woke up around 3 a.m. to a sound I couldn't place. A soft click. Like plastic. Then a buzz. I got up and followed it. It was coming from the bedroom, from the knitstand. I hadn't put anything in there. I hadn't even touched it. But when I opened the drawer, I found a baby monitor. Old, yellowed, still plugged in. The sound was coming from it. Low static, with little pops of distortion. And underneath all that, breathing. I unplugged it immediately. Tossed it in a box, but I didn't throw it out. I don't know why. I just couldn't. Like something in the back of my brain said, don't get rid of it. It's important. The next morning, I found a toothbrush in the bathroom. Not mine. It was gray, worn, lying perfectly across the sink, like it had been used the night before. I called the landlord again. Hey, I think the last person never really moved out. This place doesn't feel empty. He didn't reply. But that night, I got a new email. No subject. No sender name, just 2 words. I stayed. Over the next few days, more things showed up. A sock on the floor. Not mine. A coffee mug in the sink. A phone charger plugged into the wall behind the bed. And every morning when I woke up, the bedroom door, which I closed every night, was open. Wide open. I set up a camera app on my phone. Left it recording on the nightstand while I slept. The next morning, I played it back. The room was quiet. Still. Just me breathing until 2:47 a.m. The sound of the door opening. Slow. And then, for just a second, the blanket pulled slightly down, like fingers grazing it. I couldn't see anyone, but I felt something I couldn't explain, like the presence was just outside the frame, watching. I started sleeping on the couch, but that only made things worse, because the picture on the wall, it had changed. Same frame, same room. But now, the figure on the couch was looking directly at the camera, still blurry, still faint, but closer, and this time, you could see a hand pressed to the couch cushion, like they were holding themselves up. Leaning forward. Part 2, I couldn't look at the picture on the wall anymore. The figure wasn't blurry now. Still shadowed, still indistinct, but real enough that my stomach twisted every time I glanced at it. The angle of the photo was wrong too. Like it wasn't taken from across the room, but from inside the wall. I pulled it down. Hid it in the closet. But the next morning, it was back on the wall, crooked this time. Closer to eye level. Like it wanted to be seen. The apartment stopped feeling like a space I lived in and started feeling like a space I was sharing. With someone. Something. I kept telling myself I was imagining it, but every morning I woke up to some new sign. My socks rearranged in color order. The stove turned on low. The faucet dripping, even though I knew I'd shut it tight. And always the bedroom door wide. Open. Even when I stacked a chair in front of it, even when I wedged it shut with a doorstop, even when I locked it. It still opened. On the 7th night, I tried sleeping with headphones on. Loud music. Anything to drown out the sounds. But around 2:50 a.m., I woke up anyway. Heart pounding. Skin cold. Not because of a noise, because I could feel someone staring at me. I turned slowly. The bedroom door was open, and there was a figure standing in the hall. Tall, still, shadow-like. I could just make out the shape, broad shoulders. Head tilted slightly to one side, watching me. I blinked. It was gone. The next morning, I called the landlord 5 times. No answer. I emailed. Nothing. I drove to the leasing office across town. When I walked in, the receptionist looked confused. This building? I asked, giving her the address. She checked the computer. Frowned. That property isn't managed by us. Hasn't been for years. But my lease, we don't have you in our system. That night, something new happened. The baby monitor, the one I'd shoved into a box, was sitting on the kitchen counter, plugged in, turned on. The little red light blinked. I stood there staring at it. Heart pounding so hard, I felt it in my teeth. Then the speaker crackled, and a voice came through. My voice. Soft. Tired. Breathing heavily. Don't close the door. I unplugged it and threw it across the room. The voice didn't stop. It kept coming. The monitor wasn't the source. Sound was coming from inside the walls. I slept in my car that night. Or tried to. At 3:17 a.m. Something knocked on the window. 3 slow taps. I didn't look. I turned the key, floored it, and didn't stop until sunrise. When I finally went back, because I was too broke to crash anywhere else, I opened the apartment door and froze. Everything was rearranged. Not violently. Not chaotic. Just wrong. My shoes neatly lined up. The couch moved closer to the bedroom. The lamp angled toward the hallway. Blankets folded. Books organized by height, like someone had been living there. Using my things, making themselves comfortable. On the kitchen table was a bowl of soup still steaming. Someone had just made it. For me, the spoon was resting on the napkin. A small note beside it, "Eat, stay warm," written in handwriting that looked almost like mine. I left the apartment again fast. No bags, no coat. Just ran until the cold air burned my lungs. Walked for an hour before sitting on a bus stop bench and crying into my hands like an idiot. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know who to call. When I finally looked up, my apartment key was sitting next to me on the bench. I hadn't brought it. Someone had put it there. I went to the police. They checked the address, and the officer frowned. "That building's condemned," he said. "Has been for months." I stared at him. No, I live there." He turned the monitor toward me. Satellite view. Street view, broken windows, graffiti, boarded doors. Yellow tape. It didn't make sense. He said he'd send someone with me to see what was going on, but when we arrived, the building was condemned. Rotten, moldy, falling apart. But the door to my unit wasn't boarded. It was open, and from the inside, warm light spilled onto the hallway floor. The officer stepped back. What is that?" he whispered. I didn't answer. I stepped inside. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Clean, lived in, warm. Safe. And someone breathed softly behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My throat felt tight, like hands were wrapping around it. A voice whispered, close enough to feel the air moving, "This is home. Don't leave again." Then, the bedroom door creaked, opened. Slow. Inviting. Like it had been waiting for me to return to the place I should never have left. I don't remember what happened next. Not clearly, just flashes. The door shutting behind me. Warm hands on my shoulders. Soft humming in the dark. The feeling of someone lying down beside me. And a whisper. "I was here first. Now you stay. We can share." I'm writing this from the living room. The lights flicker when I think about leaving. My phone battery drains every time I try to call for help. And the bedroom door opens now on its own, like it wants me to come sleep. I don't think I'm alone anymore. And the truth is, I don't think I ever was. Someone lived here before me. Someone never left. Someone still wants a roommate. Someone who breathes when I sleep, shuffles when I think too loudly, and leaves bowls of soup on the table when I forget to eat. And just now, while typing this, a new picture frame appeared above the couch. A photo of the living room, taken from the corner, showing me sitting on the floor, writing this, and behind me, a figure. Closer than before, not blurry anymore, smiling. It started with the rent. I was broke, desperate, and 2 weeks away from sleeping in my car when I found the listing. Sublet. No credit check, no references. Quiet space. Move in today. Rent was laughably cheap. Utilities included. Month to month. The only rule? Send payment via Venmo. Do not contact me for any other reason. I figured it was a scam, but I DM'd anyway. Asked if I could see the place. Got a response an hour later with the address and instructions. Key under mat. You can move in now. First month due tonight. Do not go through the closet. No lease. No in-person handoff. Just a name on the mailbox. L. Grayson. I never met them. The apartment was small and oddly clean. Not clean like scrubbed. Clean like someone had staged it. The couch was perfectly centered. The towels were folded like hotel linens. The drawers were empty, but the shelves were just full enough to feel lived in. Coffee mug on the counter. Toothbrush in the holder. Phone charger by the bed. It felt like someone had just stepped out to run errands. I unpacked my duffel. sat on the edge of the bed, and kept checking the front door, half expecting someone to come home and ask what the hell I was doing in their space. No one did that night. I sent the money. Felt like a mistake, but nothing happened. No response. No confirmation, and still, no one came back. It got weirder the next morning. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed something in the mirror, not a person. Just a faint smudge behind me. A blur in the glass, like the shape of someone standing just outside the frame. I wiped the mirror. Looked back. Nothing. But when I turned around, the closet door was open, only a crack. I remembered the instructions. Do not go through the closet. So I didn't. I shut it and walked away. Over the next few days, the apartment felt less like a place I lived in and more like a place I was borrowing. Like I was house sitting. Everything worked. Water, lights, heater, but there were drafts. Even with the windows shut tight, cold air leaked through the walls like the building was breathing. And sometimes, I'd find my stuff moved, subtle things. My toothbrush in a slightly different spot. My phone charging on the wrong side of the bed. One morning, I found my boots laced up. I never laced them. I tried texting the number again, just to ask a simple question. Is there a storage unit I can use? No response. But 10 minutes later, the light in the bathroom turned on by itself. That's when I started Googling the address, the name, Al Grayson. I couldn't find a social media presence. No Instagram, no LinkedIn. Just one ancient SoundCloud page with ambient tracks labeled field recordings from the quiet apartment. Each track was titled like a diary. Day 4, she's still here. Day 7, breathing through the walls. Day 11, don't answer the door. I clicked one, just static. Wind and the faint sound of whispering. At the end, a voice, muffled low and close to the mic, whispered, "She knows I'm here." That night, I dreamed of someone sleeping in the bed with me. I couldn't see them, just felt the weight. Like a second body beside mine, breathing slowly, sharing the pillow. When I woke up, the bed was warm on both sides. By day 10, I stopped unpacking. It didn't matter. Anything I moved was quietly returned to its original place. Books, blankets, my toothbrush. One afternoon I found my dirty laundry neatly folded on the floor. I hadn't done it. I hadn't touched the pile in days. Something, or someone, didn't like when I made the place mine. The worst part? The closet door kept opening. Every night, just a few inches. Never slammed. Never wide. Just enough to see the dark inside. Just enough to wonder. One night I taped it shut. When I woke up, the tape was peeled off in one clean strip and placed neatly on the nightstand. Then, finally, the name showed up. It was on a delivery. A package I didn't order, no sender. Just left by the door, on the label. Al Grayson. I stared at it for 5 full minutes before picking it up. Inside was a mirror, small, old, oval, the kind you'd keep on a dresser, and carved into the back. Barely legible. I never left. Part 2, I didn't want the mirror. I didn't want to touch it. Look at it. Acknowledge it. But I couldn't stop staring at the inscription on the back. I never left. It felt like a warning. Or an invitation. Or both. I set the mirror face down on the counter. An hour later, it was propped up on my dresser. Perfectly centered. Angle tilted toward the bed, like something wanted me to look. That night, I slept on the couch. Tried. Anyway, around 2:50 a.m., the temperature dropped hard. My breath fogged. I could hear the fridge humming, then glitching, then humming again, like electricity was flickering through water. I sat up. Blanket around my shoulders. The closet door, which I knew I had closed, was open again, just enough to see darkness. Then I heard it. A voice, coming from inside the closet. My voice. Get out of my room. My skin went cold. The voice didn't sound angry, it sounded terrified. Like I was the intruder. I backed into the hallway. The floor creaked. Behind me, nothing there. But the apartment felt full, like someone was moving around in another room. Just quietly enough that I couldn't pinpoint where. A shift in the air pressure. A soft exhale. A whisper of movement. This wasn't a haunting. It felt like sharing a space with someone who didn't want to be seen. Someone who lived around you like a shadow. Someone who slid into your routines the moment you looked away. Someone who had never left. By day 12. The apartment wasn't just rearranging my things, it was rearranging me. I'd wake up in different positions. Sitting up. Facing the closet. Standing in the hallway. Once, I woke up with my ear pressed against the closet door. Listening. And I swear something inside whispered, "You shouldn't be here." I kept texting the sublet number, begging for answers. Finally, one message came back. "Stop messing with my stuff." I froze. "Oh, Grayson? Are you still living here? Are you in the closet?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared. Finally, I never left. I dropped my phone. Because the last message didn't come through iMessage or SMS. It came through the apartment's Bluetooth speaker in a warped, distorted version of my own voice. That night, I tried leaving. I threw clothes in a bag, grabbed my laptop, wallet, everything. But when I opened the door, the hallway wasn't the hallway. It was the closet. Same dark narrowness. Same cold breath of stale air. Same smell, dust, old fabric, loneliness. I stepped backward slowly, heart shaking, and the hallway returned. Just like that. Like the apartment was mocking me, like it wanted to show me what it could turn into if I tried to run. By day 15, I couldn't tell if I was alone. Every mirror in the apartment kept catching glimpses of someone behind me, but always too fast to see clearly. Just up, shoulder, the top of a head, a hand, sometimes a full silhouette. But when I turned, nothing. Until the night the mirror on my dresser changed. Instead of my reflection, I saw the apartment behind me. Big empty space. Cold air drifting along the floor. Shadows trembling like they were breathing. And in the far left corner, a figure. Thin, still, watching. I turned around. Corner was empty, but the mirror still showed them standing there. Closer now, right behind me. I grabbed a towel and threw it over the mirror. I didn't look at it again. The next morning, a Venmo notification woke me up. $400 received. Note: thanks for covering this month. I stared at it. I wasn't paying rent. Someone was paying me. As if I was the subletter. As if they were letting me stay in their space. My chest tightened. What if I wasn't subletting from a ghost? What if the ghost was subletting from me? That evening, I found a new package at the door. Same blank label. Inside, a phone. Old flip model. Battery taped in. Charger missing. And on the screen, under recent calls, one name. May. Powered it off. Stashed it in a drawer. Tried to breathe. But at around 3:12 a.m., the phone turned itself on. The ringtone, tinny, distorted, echoed down the hallway. I didn't move. It rang. And rang. And rang. Until finally, a voicemail notification popped up. I pressed play with shaking fingers. My voice, exhausted, trembling, whispered, "Don't open the closet." Then the message glitche. The audio stretched, warped, layers of breathing overlapping mine, and underneath it all, barely audible, another voice whispered, "I'm in your room." I dropped the phone, and the closet door slowly began to swing open. Not wide, not fast. Just enough for a cold draft to slip out. Just enough for darkness to feel alive. And then, a footstep. Inside. Soft, careful, human. Another. Closer. The apartment lights flickered. Then everything went still, painfully still. I held my breath, and the voice. My voice came from the closet. Soft, broken. "Please come back." It's lonely. I ran. I moved into a motel 2 cities away. I blocked the number. Deleted the Venmo thread. Left everything behind. I didn't even want my clothes. For a few days. It worked. Until yesterday. A package showed up at the motel front desk. Small white. My name written in neat, delicate handwriting. Inside was the mirror. Not wrapped. Not padded. Just sitting there. On the back. A new message scratched into the wood. You left your room. I'm staying in yours now. Right now. The mirror is leaning against the motel wall. I haven't looked at it in hours. I can hear breathing behind the glass. Slow. Warm. Close. Like someone is standing on the other side. Waiting for me to look so they can look back. I think I know what's happening. Now I didn't sublet from a ghost. A ghost subletted. Me. And now that I've left, it's not looking for a home. It's looking for the tenant. The one who ran without notice. The one who didn't give 30 days. The one who broke the agreement. The one who took its room. It's looking for me. I should have known something was wrong when the ad said room for rent, no questions asked. It was taped to a bus stop, a grainy flyer, black marker on copy paper. Cash only. Furnished. No ID. First month free. I was 3 weeks into sleeping on floors and couches. My car had been towed. I had 2 missed shifts at work, and all I owned fit in a gym bag. So yeah. I called the number. A woman answered. Voice flat. Said the room was available. Come before dark. Don't bring anyone. Bring cash. The house was on a dead-end street behind a strip mall. Faded yellow siding, cracked windows, porch light flickering even though it wasn't dark yet. The screen door creaked open as I approached. She was waiting. Mid-40s, pale, wearing a sweater that looked too warm for the weather. Her eyes didn't blink enough. You're the one from the ad? She asked. Yeah, yes. I have the cash. She nodded once. Didn't smile. Rooms in the back. No loud music. No company. No pets. Bathrooms shared. She handed me a key before I even stepped inside. No paperwork. No deposit. No ID check. Just like the ad said. The room was cleaner than I expected. Twin bed. Small desk, dresser. A single lamp in the corner. No window. That was the only weird thing. No window. Just a vent above the door that buzzed softly when the AC kicked in. But I didn't care. I finally had a door I could lock. A place to shower. A bed to sleep in. For the first few hours, everything felt okay. The woman barely spoke to me. The house was quiet. Too quiet, honestly, but I told myself it was better than sleeping in a parking lot. Then, I noticed the lock on the outside of my door. It wasn't like a hotel chain lock or something normal. It was a deadbolt. On the outside, I found it when I stepped out to use the bathroom. Glanced back and saw it, right above the handle, a thick bolt you'd use on a shed or a gate. Why would a bedroom have a lock on the outside? I checked the other doors in the hall. None of them had it. Just mine. That night I heard the scratching. I was lying in bed, lights off, trying to sleep. First it was faint. Like nails on wood. Maybe a mouse. Maybe the AC. Then it got louder. Scratch. 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 It was coming from the vent above the door. I stood on the chair and aimed my phone. Flashlight through the grate. All I saw was darkness. But the air felt colder. Like something had just moved. I didn't sleep. In the morning, I asked her about it. That was the first time her expression changed. I said, "Hey, just wondering, is there something in the vents? I thought I heard scratching last night." She stopped pouring her coffee, turned to me slow. "Did you try to open it?" "No," I said. "I just heard something." Her voice dropped. "Don't touch the vent." I waited for her to laugh. To explain. She didn single quotes to dot. Just went back to pouring her coffee like we hadn't spoken. The next night, I woke up to breathing not mine deep, raspy, like someone lying right next to me. I turned on the light no one was there, but the scratching had started again. Faster now, urgent. I stood on the chair, trembling, and peered through the grate again. For a second, I thought I saw something. A hand. Pale, thin, retreating into the darkness. I fell off the chair, slammed my back into the dresser. Didn't get up for 10 minutes. When I finally opened the door, the hallway was dark, and the deadbolt on the outside? It was locked from the outside. I pounded on the door, yelled no response. 15 minutes later, I heard footsteps. Slow, barefoot the lock clicked. The door opened an inch her voice floated in. You locked it from the inside. You were dreaming. Then she shut it again. That night, I moved the dresser in front of the door, piled everything I had in front of it, didn't sleep, watched the vent until sunrise. Every few minutes, I heard something shift up there. A breath, a scrape. Once, I swear I heard a voice, whispering, something like, still hungry. The next morning, I packed screw the first month free. I opened the door to leave, and she was already standing there, like she'd been waiting. Her eyes flicked to my bag. You can't go, she said, calm, like stating a fact. There's no lease, I said. You don't even know my last name. Her lips curled, almost into a smile. That's why it chose you. I stared at her. What? But she was already walking away. I didn't leave that day. Not because I didn't want to. Because I couldn't. The front door was gone. I don't mean locked. I mean gone. Where the door had been. Just wall. Seamless. Like it had never existed. Same with the kitchen window. And the one in the hallway. Every possible way out. Sealed. Except for my bedroom. The only room with a door that locks from the outside. That night, the light in the hall flickered. I opened the door an inch. The house was quiet. Then, I looked down. There was a plate sitting on the floor. A paper plate with raw meat on it, still pink. Still wet. It hadn't been there a minute earlier. There was no note. Just offering. I left it there. But in the middle of the night, I woke up and it was gone. The plate. The meat. Everything. But the vent was open now. The metal grate removed and placed carefully on the floor beneath it, and from inside, I heard chewing. Part 2. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on the bed with my knees to my chest, staring at the open vent like it was a mouth. A dark, hungry mouth. The kind that waits for you to get tired before it bites. Every now and then, something shifted inside. Not like an animal. Not like a rat or raccoon. More like a person. A slow palm dragging against metal. Fingers brushing the inside of the duct. Breathing that didn't match mine. I kept thinking, why me? Why this room? Why did she choose me? But as soon as I thought she, the truth hit me like cold water. The woman wasn't the one choosing anything. Something else was, and she was just obeying. Around 4 a.m., I heard the footsteps again. Bare feet. Slow, coming down the hallway. I pressed myself against the far wall. Hard in my throat. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. Then, the deadbolt above the knob clicked shut. From outside. My stomach dropped. I was locked in again. The doorknob rattled gently, like someone wanted to check if I'd try to open it. I didn't move. Then, I heard her voice. Soft. Too soft. Don't make noise. It hears you. Then her footsteps faded back down the hallway. I sat there trembling, wishing this was some awful nightmare. But the vent kept breathing, and the shadows in the corner kept shifting. And I could feel something alive inside that tiny room with me, even if I couldn't see it. I must have dozed off around sunrise. Not full sleep, just that heavy, exhausted blackout you fall into when your body quits on you. When I woke up, the door was open. Just a crack, and there was a tray of food sitting on the floor. Dry toast. A cup of water. Breakfast. Like I was in a hospital or a cell. Except the toast wasn't warm. And the water wasn't cold. And something had licked one side of the toast. Clean. I kicked the tray down the hallway. The woman didn't react. She was in the kitchen wiping down the counter, humming to herself. Her movements were stiff, too slow, like she was underwater. I forced myself to speak. "I'm leaving today," I said. She didn't look up. "You can't." My throat tightened. "There's no door. No window. How am I supposed to? You weren't supposed to open your door last night." Her voice was trembling. Not angry, terrified. I stared at her. "What the hell is in the vents?" She stopped wiping. Her hand hovered above the counter. "It isn't in the vents," she whispered. "It uses the vents. For now." "For now?" She squeezed her eyes shut. I tried to move out. Years ago. I made noise. I fought the rules. She lifted her sleeve. Her forearm was covered in long, deep scratches. Fingernail marks. Not healed right. Some fresh. "It punishes noise. What is it?" She shook her head. "You feed it. You stay quiet. You survive. That's all." I went back to my room and tried to breathe. Tried to make a plan. But that's hard to do when you feel like the walls have ears. I pressed my ear to the vent. Nothing. Dead silence. Too silent. That was somehow worse. Around noon. She knocked, not lightly but fast. Panicked. She cracked the door open. "Don't move," she whispered. I froze. Her eyes weren't on me. They were looking behind me. Slowly. I turned. The vent cover, the one I found on the floor last night, was back in place, but it was upside down, and something inside the vent was pressing against it, making the metal bulge slightly. Her voice quivered. "It's awake." The bulge moved, slid across the vent like a body shifting. I stepped back until my spine hit the dresser. "What does it want?" I whispered. She swallowed hard. "A replacement." That word hit me in the chest. "What do you mean?" "I'm old," she whispered. "It wants someone new. Someone young. Someone who'll last longer." "Last? Longer?" She didn't answer. She just backed out of the room, and this time, she locked the deadbolt. I screamed after her, pounding on the door. "Let me out. Let me out." My fists slammed against the wood until they ached. She didn't answer, but the thing in the vent did. A hiss. A shaky breath. Like someone dragging air through rotted lungs. Then a sound that made me want to vomit. A wet, soft giggle. I threw the dresser against the door, dragged the mattress in front of the vent. Put everything I owned between. And me and the creature that wasn't even showing itself. Yet. Hours passed. The woman knocked once around. "Sunset. Dinner," she said softly. Then a plate slid under the door. Something scrambled toward it and dragged it into the vent with impossibly thin fingers. Not my fingers, not hers. Something in between. Night fell. My phone battery hit 3%. I typed one last text to my brother. "If I disappear, it's the blue house behind the strip mall. Room for rent. Don't come alone." But the message wouldn't send. No signal. No surprise. This place wasn't a house. It was a trap.